So I was like, oh, she's moderating her comment section.
And that her child was transgender. I don't believe her child was transgender.
Is a person who experiences gender dysphoria, and because of this gender dysphoria undergoes a surgery to transition to the opposite sex, and that people who don't experience gender dysphoria or don't have these surgeries aren't actually trans.
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
Hi guys, welcome back to my new Booktube drama channel. It's me, Kelsey. Apparently all my videos now are just going to be talking about random white people who can't keep their dumb opinions to themselves. I don't know if you heard, but as I've hinted at before, J.K. Rowling recently outed themselves for the second time as a transphobe. And we weren't surprised, but we were disappointed, because the least a transphobe could do was, like, wait till after Pride Month and, like, wait till maybe there weren't, like, people getting beaten to death in the streets by cops. I don't know, maybe I'm just asking too much, but she tweeted a bunch of transphobic bullshit very unapologetically, and then got upset when people were calling her out for it. So after that happened, Booktube was like, okay, we're done with Harry Potter. We're divorcing her. We don't know this Joanne person. Who is she? Many people were like, okay, Percy Jackson is our new millennial identity. What Half-Blood house are you in? Hogwarts houses? Who are those? So here we are. Booktube divorcing Joanne, and Hannah Tay, the topic of today's video, our white knight, decided that she was going to put her foot down. She saw people judging J.K. Rowling, and she was like, you know what? J.K. Rowling is not a transphobe. I'm also going to discuss this other random charity, because I hate trans people. Obviously, this video is not going to be unbiased, because her video just honestly really, really ticked me off. It really made me upset, because it was so clearly just based in a bias against trans people, and it just showed a lack of understanding of the queer community in general, that it was just super frustrating for me to watch, and at many points upsetting. So Hannah Tay begins this video by talking about, can you separate the art from the artist? And she does think you can separate the art from the artist, which I would sort of agree. I know that J.K. Rowling is a bad person, so I wouldn't necessarily promote her books anymore, but it won't stop me from maybe rereading Harry Potter in the future. But if I were to discuss that on my channel, I'd do so in a way that also discusses J.K. Rowling's shitty opinions, and I would do so because I believe in informed consumption. Just because I think J.K. Rowling is a bad person won't stop me from reading the books I already own. It'll just stop me from buying more of them. Now, that's the only part of this video that is not offensive and is not very misguided. So Hannah begins talking about what J.K. Rowling actually said, by talking about how she doesn't believe any trans people were actually upset, and that it was only cis people who are upset by the tweets. And this is just blatantly incorrect. I have trans friends. I follow a lot of trans book reviewers and people in the book community who are not cis on Twitter, and I saw them talking about it. So for her to come to this conclusion means that either she just thinks you can look at a picture of someone and tell if they're trans, which is not true, and that's just what she was doing. She was just scrolling through the trending page being like, oh, that's clearly not trans, clearly not trans. Or, which I think this one is equally as likely, I don't think Hannah Tay follows any trans people, so she wouldn't know whether they were speaking on it or not. After discussing how she doesn't think trans people were actually upset about it, she also begins talking about what constitutes as a trans person. Like, what makes you a real trans person? Because I always needed a cis white woman to explain that to me. I just really wanted it. And to be clear, I'm cis too. I'm cis too, so I am not the be-all end-all of gender explanations, but I am queer, and I think I at least have talked to a trans person before, which is more than I can say for Hannah Tay. So Hannah Tay begins by referencing someone named India Willoughby, who is apparently a trans woman. I've never heard of them. I couldn't be bothered to Google, but clearly I would disagree with them based on what Hannah Tay says that this woman said, because Hannah Tay expresses the belief that a trans person is a person who experiences gender dysphoria, and because of this gender dysphoria undergoes a surgery to transition to the opposite sex, and that people who don't experience gender dysphoria or don't have these surgeries aren't actually trans, which is not true. It's just not. So I have two very good friends who both use the pronouns they, them, and they have done so for many years. They both identify as trans in some way. One of my friends at this moment does not want to go through any sort of gender surgery, while my other friend did have top surgery. So they both experience dysphoria in some way, but they don't want to have surgery because they identify with the bodies they have. They just don't identify with their assigned gender. The problem is with both J.K. Rowling and Hannah Tay is that they do not understand the distinction between sex and gender. Sex is what your body is assigned at birth based on what parts it has. So basically, when you are born, if you have ovaries and a vagina, your sex is female. However, gender is more fluid. So your gender is more how you identify, whether you identify as a female or male or somewhere in between. And this is how it's been explained to me. This is how I understand it. So there's two different things. There's sex, which is what you were born with, and then there's gender, which is what you identify as. And trans people have a identity that is different than their sex. That's what makes them trans. Both J.K. Rowling and Hannah Tay reject this ideology vehemently, and it gets ever more clear as this video goes on, because Hannah Tay starts this video trying to be like sound impartial and sound like she's not spewing something that is incorrect and shows a basic misunderstanding of this entire community. And as the video goes on, she gets a lot looser with her tongue, and you start to see her true colors really shine through. Then, after explaining what a trans person is to us, Hannah Tay then discusses how upset she is and how terrible it is that J.K. Rowling's children's book is under fire because many of the employees of the publisher that J.K. Rowling is working with have gone on strike because they don't want that book to be published. And she talks about it like it's this horrible thing. But to be honest, J.K. Rowling is a near billionaire. If she really wanted to get that thing published, she could just do it on her own, self-publish her own children's book. She's not being hurt by the fact that her publisher doesn't want to publish it. Like, this isn't a big deal to J.K. Rowling. I don't feel bad for a billionaire who put their foot in their own mouth and are seeing consequences for it. I just don't. She gets upset that apparently trans activists will contact employers. If a person says transphobic things, these trans activists will contact that person's employers, which I would say, if you don't want your employers to be contacted, don't say stupid stuff on the internet. It's not hard. I've managed to go a while without doing it. So just keep your tongue to yourself. It's not that hard. So there will be a continuing thread throughout this video where Hannah talks about, has a clear animosity towards trans rights activists. And I think that's fairly clear within the video. Some of the things she says, just not it, sis. But I'm going in chronological order, so I'm going to transition to what she talked about next before I get back to what she said about trans rights activists. So she then discusses this opinion she's apparently heard expressed by trans women, stating that trans women don't want to be identified as women, they want to be identified as trans women in particular. And I've heard similar things expressed, but under different context. So I've always heard this sort of opinion expressed in the context of telling you your life story. So as a trans person, you are a woman. You are a woman. However, a woman is an umbrella term that includes both trans women and cis women. So, and again, I'm not trans, so this could be incorrect. But from my understanding, if you were to tell your life story, identifying yourself as a trans woman would clarify as to what type of story you were telling versus the type of story you would tell as a cis woman, because the experiences growing up are going to be pretty different. That does not to say, though, that trans women aren't women and that they wouldn't be called a woman. Like, yeah. So a running thread throughout the rest of her video from Hannah is that trans women have a different growing up experience. She really twists it to kind of reflect her worldview, in my opinion, because she goes on. Because I don't believe Hannah understands or can even comprehend. I think there's a roadblock in her head that she cannot comprehend that trans women are just real women. Like they're not something other. Like they're not just men in girls' clothes. Like they're trans women. Because I mean, with gender, I'm a girl. I've always been a girl, and I've always known I was a girl. I'm cis, so like I've never questioned my gender identity because it's just how I've always felt. So going off of my personal experience of always knowing I was a girl, I would assume it would be the same for trans people. So like a trans girl would always know she was a girl. It's just that her sex she was given at birth does not connect with her actual gender identity. So I assume your gender identity is the same as you grow up. It's just when you get older, you actually understand why you feel that way and why certain parts of your life are different than other people. Like I assume that's what it would be like. Again, this is a blanket statement. But I don't think Hannah can understand that in her head. I don't think she understands gender and sex as different things, and I don't think she understands that trans people just don't suddenly decide not to be what they were assigned at birth. For whatever reason. So after this, she kind of jumps off from the point of discussing that trans women would have a different experience than cis women, because she talks about that apparently at some point she has seen authors who talk about female genital mutilation get attacked by trans rights activists for saying that trans rights activists can't undergo female genital mutilation. And I'm not an expert on female genital mutilation, so I can't I can't accurately express whether or not that is or isn't true, but I don't feel like it's correct. Like I'm sure I don't think they were like blasted by all these trans rights activists if this is in fact accurate. I think it would be like one or two people who maybe say something, but I think she kind of takes like small incidents and then blows them up to reflect all trans people. So she starts talking about how the female symbol was removed from packs of pads and tampon. And this is where the video really starts to go downhill. This is where she stops trying to censor herself at all, and then she just lets the hatred and bigotry and then just pure stupidity spew from her mouth. Because when discussing this, she was like, why only females are using it? Like trans women don't only women are using it. Trans women don't menstruate. And I'm like, sister, Earth to Hannah, it's ground control. Trans males exist and they still menstruate, you absolute fucking idiot. Like, clearly she did not put any forethought into the things she was saying, and clearly, Hi, so while listening to this part, I also realized that I didn't mention that a large part of this video was also her whining about how people kept changing things to include trans people when they didn't need to. So this was part of that section, but literally in the video, I don't think it ever crossed her mind that trans men still menstruate. So that's what I'm talking about here, but the overall point was that she didn't understand why we had to accommodate trans people. So just so you guys know, and so I'm not misrepresenting what she said, that was a large part of her point. It should be clear just by the title of her video that she doesn't care about trans people, or she doesn't even care to listen to them or do any research into the into gender identity and stuff, but that was just the moment I was like, oh my god. So yeah, she forgets about trans men, because the only people who want to be trans are women. And then she expresses this bold take. She says that she thinks trans rights activists are not trans and that they actively hate trans people.
It doesn't get better. It gets worse.
I don't know about that, honey, but good lord. I don't feel like I need to express why this is wrong. I just want you all to hear this, because as I said, this video really went downhill at this point. She gets mad. She thinks burning books is offensive, which, considering the things she said today, she clearly doesn't care about whether or not things are offensive. I don't think she's actually seen a trans person, because she continuously expresses the belief that no trans people are expressing the opinion that they don't like J.K. Rowling's tweets, which is just blatantly incorrect. But I at this point in my notes, I was literally like, does she just think you can like spot a trans person by looking at profile pictures on Twitter? Like, does she just go through and like look for a drag queen? Is that just what she's doing? Because that's how it felt at this point. So I'm refilming this section real quick again, because the first time I did it, I was very angry and super rambly, because this entire mermaids part of the video is the most reprehensible, disgusting, shitty video I've ever seen. But basically, she talks about this charity Mermaids, which is apparently a trans charity in the UK. I don't really know much about it, and I don't know whether or not it's a good or bad charity, so it could not be a great one, it could be a good one. I just have no idea. But either way, the things Hannah says in this video in reference to it are not okay. So they talk about the charity's origins, and they basically say that apparently this the founder has a trans daughter, and Hannah has decided that that daughter is not actually trans, that daughter has been indoctrinated into thinking they're trans. Hannah literally at one point says that there was conversion therapy to make this person think that they are trans, which I don't believe. But even if this was true, that's a serious allegation, and she says all of this stuff while smiling and laughing. And if that was true, it would be a horrible thing for that kid to go through. So I don't think it would be a smiling and laughing matter either way. She says she believes this because as a little kid, this girl would play with girl toys, and at the time they were presenting as a boy. Their parents thought they were a boy, and the dad didn't like the kid playing with girl toys, so they decided that they were going to take away all the girl toys. And the way Hannah spins this story is that just all of a sudden the kid decided, in order to keep their toys, that they were just going to be a girl instead, and that they've kept this ruse up for the past decade and a half, and they've gotten gender reassignment surgery because just so they could keep their toys in that moment. Do I need to explain to you why this is just so idiotic and why you don't say these sorts of things? It's so inappropriate and so disgusting, and the transphobia really peeped. So the conspiracy theory Hannah presents during this section is that the parents would rather have a trans straight daughter than a gay cis son, which I just think Hannah's internal homophobia popped out, because apparently she just doesn't. What? In what world does a person who hates gay people enough to take away their kids' toys just is fine with trans people? Like, in what world? Because that's not how things work. Generally, homophobes and transphobes are the same people. So yeah, it's rough, ladies. This section was so disgusting, and then there's parts afterwards that just relay her general idiocy and general ignorance to the topic. But I'm done. I'm not describing the rest of it, because you cannot top that one part.
course he said, I think I'm a girl, because he was told the reason you can't play with all these toys that you love is because you're a boy and these are girls' toys. So all of a sudden the little boy said, well, maybe I'm a girl then. I don't believe her child was transgender. I believe what happened is Susie Green's husband was homophobic, and Susie Green's husband didn't want a gay son. And so instead of having a gay son, now they have a straight daughter. I believe it's conversion therapy.
So I'm sorry for making you guys watch that video clip. It was just the only thing that could explain and demonstrate the idiocy that was going on. So I'm just here to give you all some updates. The first thing, this was going to be in the original video, but I wanted to add it in addition. So Hannah Tay made a statement on their Twitter saying, so this week I'm cancelled by Booktube Twitter, and next week they will find someone else. Ha ha ha. What does this all mean? Absolutely nothing. Lol. I stand with J.K. Rowling. So obviously it means nothing to her. I actually responded to this with a picture of the like Eddie Burbank holding up that giant poster that says yikes, and I got blocked. So Hannah Tay is officially the first person who blocked me, and if she didn't like that comment, she's definitely not gonna like this video. But the other thing I actually realized was when I went to go download this video, I also realized that there's only 146 comments, and when you scroll down, they're all positive. So I was like, oh, she's moderating her comment section. So like the true drama channel I now am, I was like, I'm gonna test this, and I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. So I wrote a comment. I just, here, let's pop one in. We'll just say TERF. Posted it, and now I can see it because I'm the one who commented it. So it's I can view my comment. I don't know that she's suppressing comments. But if we go onto an incognito tab and we copy and paste the link to her video, enter. Oh, please don't play. Please don't play. Okay, I got her. We can scroll down to her comment section, and if we sort by newest first, we can see, oh, where'd it go? I'm pretty sure I posted that a little bit closer than 3 hours ago. I wonder what could have happened to it. So not only is Hannah Tay a transphobe, she also hates freedom of speech. Just kidding. That's not what I mean. She is suppressing her commentary, and she's not listening to the feedback that people are giving her, which is inherently a problem. She is only allowing people who agree with her to be visible on her account. And literally, like, this video, let's see what this video's views are at right now. So over 5,000 videos. People are still talking about it on Twitter. Clearly people are still going to be commenting about it, and they're all gone because she posts a video she knows will be controversial, and then is upset when people call her out for being controversial, which is inherently just ironic. Also, peep that really, really, really just bitchy comment she pinned and wrote. That's rough, man. But yeah, that was just something interesting I thought I'd share with you guys. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that real quick, just so you know. I mean, at least Rachel Marie had the decency to delete her own shit. This is just ridiculous. There. Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Peep you guys for the outro. Love you. Bye.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I can't. I am disgusted. You better talk to her before I do, because I'm hurt her feelings.
Alright, hi guys, or should I say bye guys, because it's the end of the video. This has been a long one for me. It's currently 8 o'clock the night after Hannah posted that video, and I saw it go up, and I was like, I literally thought, I was like, I should download that in case I want to make a video. But then I was like, I'd rather go to bed. So I went to bed, and I honestly assumed she'd, like, deleted it after, like, 4 hours, like We Be Bookin' did. But, you know, say what you will about Hannah Tay, she's not a coward, she's just an idiot. So here we are. I still was being lazy. I was like, I got to, like, playing Sims at, like, 12:45, and I was like, man, I should check Twitter, because I was literally about to go do D&D stuff, and I saw her shitty response to what everybody had been saying, so I was like, I'm gonna respond to this, so I posted that image, and then she blocked me, and I was like, now it's personal. If you don't like that comment, you're really gonna hate what I do next. But yeah, here we are. I guess I'll just conclude this by saying to my trans viewers, if you're out there, you're valid. Hannah Tay literally has an opinion that's completely invalid, and time will prove her wrong. I hope you all are having a good, what day am I posting it? Week. Rest of the week. And I hope you're all being kind to each other, unless each other is a TERF. God, I shouldn't do these when I'm tired. Anyway, I love you all. I will be posting links for Black Lives Matter, because even though it's not trending on Twitter anymore, you can still do something to help. I'll also put some links for resources for trans rights, as well as like some charities for that if you want to donate some things. As always, remember to register to vote. That's in the description down below as well. It's buck wild, as are my social medias. You should all say hi to me on all of those things. I love to yell into the void. Anyway, I hope you all are having a good day. I love you all. Bye bye.